What if I told you there was an MLB player who was so good at hitting, it seemed as though he physically couldn't be struck out? A player who faced Hall of Fame pitchers Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, and Bruce Sutter a combined 149 times, but never struck out once. This player is of course none other than Tony Gwynn, and to find out how he was able to record over 3,000 hits, become a 15-time All-Star, and a member of the Hall of Fame, while being seemingly impossible to strike out, we have to go back to his high school days, because his career almost never happened in the first place, going undrafted his senior year of high school and received 0 scholarships to go play at college. So instead, he opted to play basketball at San Diego State University, where he developed into one of the nation's best players, using his quick agility and nifty playmaking to set multiple school records for most assists in a game, season, and career. Because of this, the basketball coach Tim Vetsy did not allow Gwynn to join the baseball team in the spring, as he wanted him to use that time to prepare for the upcoming basketball season. But due to a freak accident which left 2 of the baseball team's players injured, he was contacted by their coach Jim Dietz about joining the team, which he was intrigued by.
His reaction was, "Yeah, I want to, but I'm afraid of the basketball coach." I think that was his exact words.
That's when Coach Dietz came in.
I said, "Tony, I'll go and talk with the coach." Then I kept kind of working on him. And then he finally said, "Yeah, go ahead, give it a try."
With Gwynn making his way back to a baseball diamond after 3 years, many assumed he would need some time to get acclimated. However, much to their surprise, he thrived immediately.
It was just line drive after line drive after line drive.
He had not had batting practice, had not really gotten into it, had not trained, and he went over there and went 3 for 4.
His stellar performances his junior and senior seasons finally started to get the attention of Major League scouts, ultimately being taken by the San Diego Padres in the 3rd round of the 1981 draft. Being selected is a moment every ballplayer dreams of and is often met with an immediate yes from the player, but not Gwynn. You see, he was also taken in the 10th round by the San Diego Clippers of the NBA, but after giving more thought to his options and realizing his smaller 5'11" frame might limit his ability in the NBA, he decided to accept the Padres' offer. Right away, he tore up the minor leagues just like college, hitting .376 the rest of 1981, then .328 at AAA the following year, earning him not only a batting title and league MVP, but more importantly a call-up to the major leagues just 13 months after his selection, where he displayed his knack of hitting for a good average with a .289 clip in 54 games down the stretch, sparking immense excitement about what he could accomplish as a regular starter the following year. That was until he broke his wrist in the Dominican Republic, forcing him to miss the first 2 months. Then, when he finally returned to make his season debut, he struggled. During a 25-game stretch spanning between June 23rd till July 29th, he hit a mere .200, a slump so bad, he started to think he wouldn't be able to hang at the major leagues. But it's something he wasn't planning to do anyways.
And I remember him saying, I'm going to work hard, I'm probably going to play about 5 years, and then I'll go on to do something else.
Despite anticipating a career change in the not-so-distant future, he still worked tirelessly to become the best hitter he could. That's why he employed his wife Alicia to help him get back on track.
He would say, Leash, can you go look at bat number 2 and tell me what I'm doing wrong?
By rewatching his at-bats to see what he could be doing better, he exploded in the second half of the season, finishing the year with a .339 average in 59 games, helping the club finish with a .500 record for the 2nd consecutive season. Nothing spectacular, but for them, it was a franchise first. In their inaugural season, they went an abysmal 52-110, as most expansion teams do, and in the decade plus that followed, they had just one winning season, showing that they were finally on the right path. Couple this with key additions such as Steve Garvey from their division rivals Los Angeles Dodgers, elite reliever Goose Gossage from the New York Yankees, and slugger Greg Nettles, again poached from the Yankees, they exploded onto the scene in 1984 with a 92-70 record, good enough to capture the club's first division victory in franchise history. But first, a thank you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that connects you with a licensed therapist from the comfort of your own home. It's convenient and fits into your schedule. With springtime here, new routines, longer days, and shifting priorities can lead to increased anxiety. As an athlete, this time of year brings the pressure of a new season, so in order to navigate the highs and lows of performing at my best, I know how important it is to talk to someone. But whether you're dealing with anxiety from sports, life's everyday challenges, or seasonal changes, BetterHelp offers support to help you manage your mental health with more clarity and confidence. Getting started is easy. Just fill out a short questionnaire to match with a therapist based on your needs. In most cases, you'll be matched with a licensed therapist within a few days, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at no extra cost. So instead of getting stuck in the endless cycles of overthinking or self-doubt, take the first step today. Visit betterhelp.com/greenlight or click the link in the description to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/greenlight for 10% off your first month of therapy. Winning the division was a monumental moment for the city of San Diego, and their dominance was fueled by Gwynn. All year long, he hit, posting just 1 month under a .321 batting average to firmly put his name on the map as one of the game's most elite hitters. But what caught everyone's attention even more was his elite skill of not striking out. That year, he halved his strikeout percentage to a minuscule 3.4%. In today's game, that is unfathomable. Last year, only 2 qualified batters posted a strikeout percentage below 10. Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians and Luis Arraez of the San Diego Padres. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's a completely different game. Strikeouts are far more common with the increase of power hitters. But even back then, Gwynn's mark was the lowest, and it all stemmed from the mindset he had in 2 strike counts.
But the difference, I think, between a lot of hitters today and the guys who are pretty consistent hitters are guys, when they get 2 strikes on them, they don't change. Their makeup as a hitter remains the same.
This was clearly demonstrated throughout his career as he finished with a .302 average in 2 strike counts. Among players with at least 1,000 at-bats in these situations, his number ranks by far the best in MLB history, 26 points ahead of Arraez. He even displayed this in his first playoff series, doubling off Steve Trout with 2 strikes in Game 2. The Padres, however, would go on to lose this game to put them on the verge of elimination, but hope wasn't running thin within the clubhouse. Gwynn mentioned, "It's disappointing, but I'm telling you, the series isn't over. We have 3 games in San Diego, and we've played well there all year. The Cubs have 1 more game to win, and until they do, this series isn't over." Talk is one thing, leading by example is another, and it's something he hadn't really done during the first 2 games, with his double being his only hit in 8 at-bats. But like he said, the series wasn't over. In Game 3, he quadrupled his hit tally en route to a comfortable 7-1 victory. In Game 4, he once again played catalyst for the offense, helping them win 7-5. Then in the winner-take-all matchup, he delivered the final blow to the Dodgers.
Single to left field. Hard! Sandberg over his head, right center field, base hit. 1 run will score. Moreland is slow getting it. Here comes Wiggins. Here comes the front of the play. He's safe. The third is Gwynn. 5-3. San Diego.
Sure, second baseman Ryne Sandberg could have turned the inning-ending double play to keep the score tied, but that's what happens when you put the ball in play. You put the pressure on the defense, and when they don't execute, moments like this can happen, allowing the Padres to advance to the World Series to face the daunting Detroit Tigers. The team everyone picked to win the championship at the start of the postseason, but that wasn't too surprising. That Tiger squad still remains as the only team to ever win 35 of the first 40 games of a season. They fielded some of the game's most dominant players and were ultimately too much for the Padres.
Ball to left. Here comes Herndon. He's there. He's got it. The Tigers are the champions of 1984.
Losing the World Series was a tough pill to swallow for Gwynn, yet he was proud of what the team accomplished that season, stating, "People have always said this is a city that loses, but I'll tell you, this place is turning around." That's why just a month after their crushing defeat, he decided to re-up with the Padres by signing a 5-year extension worth a few $1,000,000. This was a clear San Diego discount, as they used to call it, as his market value as a free agent would have surely been higher. Now locked up with the club for the foreseeable future, he embarked on his earlier set goal of winning a championship, but unfortunately, the Padres would struggle to find similar success, missing out on the playoffs for over a decade. Yet this didn't stop him from developing into one of the most unique hitters in baseball, using his elite plate discipline with his bat-to-ball skills to set MLB ablaze. Leading the league in hits, won the batting title, and finished top 10 in MVP voting 4 times each in just his first 6 full seasons. But none were more impressive than his 1980 1987 campaign. That year, he was hot and stayed hot, amassing an identical .370 batting average in both the first and second half. Never went more than 8 at-bats without a hit, and led the league in numerous offensive categories. Although when it came time for MVP voting, he finished 8th despite being the best player in baseball. Now, there were two main reasons why he didn't win the award. For starters, voters didn't like awarding players who played on struggling teams. In this case, the Padres finished with the worst record in the league at 65-97. And secondly, he didn't hit home runs, finishing with only 7 that season. It was the same case in the American League, as Wade Boggs, a similar hitter to him, never received MVP consideration due to his low power. However, Gwynn remained unfazed by the situation. He knew the type of hitter he was, and he wasn't going to change just to try and win an MVP. Those words resembled nails on a chalkboard for pitchers around baseball, most notably the three of Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, and Tom Glavine. Throughout their careers, they dominated the game, embarrassed baseball's best hitters, and ultimately earned their place in the Hall of Fame. But there was something else these three shared a common ground in, never being able to strike out Tony Gwynn.
Maddux, Glavine, and myself, we all struck out close to 9,000 batters. I believe we only struck him out 3 times total between the 3 of us.
These 3 were some of the best pitchers of their generation. It sounds made up that they struggled this much against him, but it's true. He stepped up to the plate a combined 270 times against them, struck out only 3 times, and hit for an average of .394. Mind-blowing stats against 3 of the greatest pitchers to ever step foot on an MLB mound. But they couldn't be too down on themselves. Every pitcher who faced him struggled to get him out, especially trying to strike him out. In fact, during his first 10 full seasons at the majors, nobody had a lower strikeout percentage than his 4.3 figure, and it was all thanks to his approach at the plate.
So with 2 strikes now, I'm figuring I've got a battle because he could throw that forkball again. But this time he throws a fastball in and just fight it off. See, that's kind of like what I do best right there, is just take the inside fastball and fight it off and hit it the other way.
His ability to always put the ball in play was unmatched by anyone in baseball, which got people thinking, if for one season every batted ball went his way, just how high could his batting average soar? Well, everyone quickly got their answer in 1994. That season, his jam shots were finding outfield grass, and his harder hit ground balls were always finding the holes in the infield. By the All-Star break, he was hitting an incredible .383, but continued to get better as the season went on. During the first 10 games of August, he recorded 19 hits in 40 at-bats to raise his season's average to .394, just 6 points off the illustrious 400 mark with 45 games left to play. It was a tall task to continue at the same pace, although everyone around the league started to think he genuinely had a chance. That was until the season came to an abrupt end on August 12th.
Well, it is now official. No more regular season, no extended version of the playoffs, and for the first time since 1904, no World Series, Brendan.
For months, the MLB Players Association threatened of a work stoppage due to disagreements with the owners over salary caps and revenue sharing. Ultimately, they followed through, ending the season, and along with it, Gwynn's chance at history, though he wasn't saddened by that fact.
I can't put it any more simply than this. Do you feel gypped?
No. I don't. Other people feel like I am, but I don't. People expect you to feel bitter. I don't, because I've done everything I could do this year.
In technical terms, Gwynn did reach a .402 average over a 162-game span between July 27th, 1993 till May 13th, 1995. So it was definitely possible to reach it that season, but regardless, his .394 average was an impressive accomplishment. In fact, it was the highest batting average since Ted Williams hit .406 in 1941. The all-time great also had a few words to share with him when they talked face-to-face after the season.
The one thing I really agreed with him with, and we had an animated conversation about this, was handling the ball inside. He says, hey, anybody can go up there and take a ball on their outer half and just block it off the left field, but Major League history is made on the ball inside.
For the longest time, he scoffed at the idea of trying to hit for power, but after listening to Williams, he was willing to give it a shot. So that season, he raised his pull percentage from a little over 20% all the way to 28.5, and as a result, he posted career high in hits, doubles, home runs, and RBIs. In total, from 1995 to 1998, he hit 43 home runs. During his previous 3-year best, he only reached 28. But the most impressive part about his power breakthrough was his ability to still hit for a high average at 372 and rarely strike out at a 4.3% rate. Somehow, he was still getting better entering his late 30s, something not many players are able to do. His continued dominance at the plate was a blessing for the Padres, allowing them to finally put together a winning team, taking the division in 1998. This was actually their second time being crowned division champions in 3 years, but their first trip back to the playoffs resulted in a first-round sweep at the hands of the St. Louis Cardinals. At 38 years old, it was likely that this would be his last chance at a World Series ring, something he had been dreaming of since their first trip to the Fall Classic 14 years prior. That's why he knew not to take anything for granted. In the divisional round against the Houston Astros, they faced off against Randy Johnson in Game 1, the most dominant left-handed pitcher in MLB history. All afternoon long, he was able to keep the Padres' bats at bay, tossing 5 scoreless innings to start the game. That was until Gwynn led off the 6th.
1-2. Slider. Look at that! Off the glove of Bill Spires and down the left field line. Gwynn's going to test it. A loose throw is over the head of Biggio. Backed up by Bagwell.
That's Tony Gwynn at his best right there. I mean, I don't know how a left-hander can hit this pitch and hit it that hard down the left field line.
His double was exactly what the Padres lineup needed, as they were able to draw first blood when he scored on a sacrifice fly, helping the Padres win the game narrowly 2-1 and ultimately the series in 4 games.
On the ground, Ferris throws, and the Padres will march to Atlanta.
During the divisional round, he wasn't at his best, but his effort in Game 1 was crucial to set the stage for the rest of the series. And funnily enough, this is how the championship series also went for him. Facing off against the Atlanta Braves, he had an underappreciated role in Game 1.
Down by a run in the 5th inning with their best at the plate, Gwynn delivers. Hernandez rounds third, heads to the plate. Going to third is Ferris, and it's a 1-1 game as Gwynn is 2 out of 3.
His RBI single put the Padres on the board to knot the score up at 1 apiece. A vital run which helped push the game into extra innings, where Ken Caminiti was able to hit the game-winning shot to take the opener. Then, after 5 more hard-fought games, they found themselves in the World Series squaring off against the New York Yankees, one of the greatest teams ever assembled, winning 114 games in the regular season. They overmatched the Padres in each facet of the game, but they still acknowledged Gwynn's presence, knowing he would be a difficult out.
Ripped down the right field line at the track at the wall, gone! Off the facing at the bottom of the upper deck, and Tony Gwynn goes deep.
With the score tied at 2 apiece in the 5th inning of Game 1, he took David Wells deep to take a 2-run advantage, and he didn't stop there. All series long, he was unstoppable, never striking out against the Yankees' elite pitchers, while recording at least 1 hit in each game, including another go-ahead hit, this time in Game 3.
To the right side and through. They will bring Hitchcock to the plate. No throw by O'Neill, 1-0 San Diego.
Nobody matched his offensive production during the series, but unfortunately, the rest of his team was not able to back him up, allowing the Yankees to sweep the West Coast boys.
Sweeney grounds to third. Brocious, fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24.
After 14 years, he finally made it back to the World Series. He played his heart out with one of the best performances in the competition's history, all to come up short. But as he said, that's baseball. Nothing is certain in the game. There are no guarantees that things are going to go the way you want them to go. This was his last chance to finish his career with a ring, as he retired just 2 years later after his injuries continued to take a toll on his body, wrapping up one of the most unique careers in MLB history. During his 20-year career, he consistently led the league in hits and in average, but his excellence goes far beyond those leaderboards. For instance, after hitting .289 as a rookie, he hit over .300 for 19 consecutive years, helping him finish with a career tally at .338. Even if you add 1,182 outs to that number, his average would still be above .300. He was just that tricky to get out, and when he did, it was rarely via the punch-out, only being struck out 434 times in 20 years. For reference, some of the game's big strikeout hitters can reach that mark in less than 3. He also recorded just 1 game with 3 strikeouts, but managed 9 9 with 5 hits. So given all of this, it's no surprise that since the start of his career in 1984, his 4.1% strikeout rate remains the lowest among qualified batters, which helped build his reputation as a player who seemed physically impossible to strike out. It's what made him such a special player for fans. That's why when he passed at the young age of 54, it left a lasting impact on many around the sport.
Tony Gwynn is gone. He died early this morning. Mr. Padre, number 19, a humble hero.
For me, being a San Diego kid and to worship and look up to him, admire him, love him as a Padre and as a role model, he really impacted my life. And it's a tough day for me and as well as a lot of people.
Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and also thank you for 20,000 subscribers. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I appreciate all of your support. Also, if you'd like to learn about a pitcher who is so good at commanding his pitches, it seemed as though he physically couldn't miss a pitch, or a batter who is so good it seemed as though he physically couldn't miss a swing, then click either video on your screen.